Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today's NMIMS podcast, Mr. Mrinal Jain. With a diverse background in technology, community building, and entrepreneurship, Mr. Jain brings a wealth of experience and insights to our discussion. Mrinal began his journey as a Flutter developer, swiftly climbing the ranks to become an engineering manager at Stage. Through his leadership, he gained invaluable experience in guiding engineering teams and navigating the intricacies of software development lifecycle. Beyond his corporate roles, Mrinal is a passionate advocate for open source technologies and community driven initiatives. As a tech speaker, he has enlightened audience about Flutter development, inspiring innovation in cross platform developments. Mrinal's commitment to fostering innovation is further demonstrated through his role as the founding organizer of Witty Hacks. Witty Hacks serves as a platform for aspiring developers to showcase their talents, collaborate with industry professionals, and turns their ideas into tangible projects, which would be helpful for them in their further career. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mrinal Jain to our podcast. How are you this fine day, sir?
Thank you. First of all, thanks a lot for such a sort of lovely or vast introduction. I just went through all the activities which I have done in past sort of 5-6 years of my life. So it was really nice to relive all of them when you were speaking about it. Yep. Thanks a lot for inviting me. Yeah.
Sir, so the questions that I've compiled are from my own personal interest into AI, and as you know, AI has been the talk of the town everywhere. So, can you share insights into your experience with Gen AI and how it's shaping the AI future in the computer science domain?
Yeah. So basically, Gen AI is something which, if you talk in terms of or in terms of perspective of how it will sort of relate with a developer or how it will affect a developer, so it should be something which is making the developer's life easy, right? And if we see in past, it's not something which has come in last 2 or 3 years. If you see products which are being built with Microsoft or which products which Google has built in past 12 years as well, in bits and pieces you will see that okay, there is something which was not exactly named as AI, but obviously there was some essence of AI in those products as well. You might have used Windows XP and Windows 7 in your I'm not sure if a lot of you guys have heard about it or used it, but there were a lot of instances of generative AI in that particular products as well. So you need to understand that companies have been working from last 10 to 12 years for this particular thing. Now, since companies are working for this, so again, it is something to make the developer's life easy, right? How if you are doing some task which is taking somewhere around 10 to 12 hours or any specific functionality of your application or any app which you are building for the users, it is reducing the time taken to do that particular task. So that is the one most important aspect of generative AI, which is sort of which it should be used or it should be seen as. I will definitely not talk about the negative aspects of it because then everything has its positive and negative sides. So yeah, we'll just talk about the positive sides of it because again, negatives are something which we should definitely ignore because it should not be used again, right?
So, according to were these huge companies gatekeeping these softwares from general public, and the ChatGPT move by OpenAI has led this revolution in tech industry? Do you?
I won't say they were hiding it because when you are such a big tech giant, right, you have some responsibilities towards your users, right? I mean, and then when ChatGPT sort of suddenly broke the markets, right? You suddenly saw a bubble burst. Every company was trying to build their own version of sort of a generative AI, right? And we all know how Google ended up with a lot of mistakes with their generative AI things, right? So again, companies were not gatekeeping. The big tech giants seeming that it's their responsibility to sort of make sure that whatever experience they are delivering to their users, it should be perfectly fine. So that's when they sort of try to build it. But again, in today's world, it's a very fast-paced, moving world, right? So even you see something came from ChatGPT, and then all the other companies went ahead and released their different products, and now you are seeing that okay, every other day, every company is trying to sort of build something out of it. The next day you might have heard about, or a lot of people might have heard about that one company has introduced a AI developer of itself. Now everyone is going next step, one step ahead, right? You don't even have to prompt a ChatGPT now, right? You just need to ask your AI developer that, hey AI developer, build something like this for me, and they'll start doing it. So now a trend again started. Now the other companies will start taking up that trend. So in a way, it's good because technology will keep on growing. Yeah.
So just catching on to prompt, that is, so there
Yeah.
was a talk about prompt engineering being a course that would be offered and
Yeah.
something the developer should look in. Have you done any such courses, or do you think it's necessary for everyone to take a peek at?
Yeah, I mean, most of you might have seen a lot of prompt engineering ads on your YouTube channels, right? Here and there, right? So, what exactly is prompt engineering, right? And why is this engineering word attached to it? Because if we break down this particular word, prompt engineering, what exactly it means? It means that you should be able to properly work with such tools, which is ChatGPT or something like this, right? Now, if we go a few steps back, when Google was launched, right? Did someone say that okay, there is a course to learn how to use Google? No, right? When there are so many things launched, right? So many things. Perfect example is Google, right? No one asked you, right? Yeah, check how to learn Google, how to Google on Google. There was no course on it, right? But nowadays, what happens is everyone is a content creator, right? Everyone tries to sort of make sure that okay, if there is a new buzzword in the market, I need to make sure that how I can sort of use that particular word to my benefit. So that's how this sort of fancy term was brought up. But in a nutshell, it's just that how easily, how perfectly you can ask someone else, or how perfectly you can ask sort of generative AI tools to do work for you.
So from
Correct.
my naive understanding of it, I've studied ML in my course. So what happens is the model learns from its previous inputs.
True.
So that's what I understood. Like if I do a prompt, you will build on it from your
True.
previous searches.
True.
So as an engineer, I know, but it might be helpful for people from non-tech background.
Correct. So it's as good as you are raising a kid, right? So what's AI? It learns from sort of you or its neighboring environment, right? So it's as good as sort of raising a kid. So if you will give that particular kid, or if you will give that particular AI chatbot the inputs on which you want in future to give sort of a proper feedbacks, that AI tool should give me proper feedbacks, then definitely you need to give him that particular input, right? So it's the analogy is perfectly fine for that you raise the child perfectly fine, so that in future the answers or the sort of outputs which are given back from the child are according to that particular reason. It's as good as, you can take an analogy of sort of growing a tree. So you give perfect fiber to it, you give perfect water to it, and then it will respond fruits accordingly. Same thing if we talk in terms of sort of a programming language. So yeah, by default, as much as knowledge which you will be able to give to that particular programming language or to that particular generative AI tool, it will have sort of more database to work upon and then give some sort of a nice suggestion to you. As a human mind, right? If I ask you for some sort of feedback, right? If I directly ask you for a feedback, you'll be like, no, Mrinal, give me some more detail about it so that I can give you a really nice feedback or a more sort of a customized feedback according to you. So that it's as good as that. If I ask a question directly, but if I give you some sort of a context of that particular question, hey, I'm facing this particular problem, I have this particular reason, I can't do this, and these are like 3-4 more things. Can you suggest me something? You'll be able to analyze it, that okay, these are the things Mrinal is going through, and now I can suggest you something, rather than hey, please let me do, I should do this or that. You won't be able to tell me. So it's just like that. With more data comes more accuracy. That's how it is. Yeah.
Definitely, sir. Moving on to the next question I had in my mind.
Yeah.
You must have worked with a lot of people our age from varied field, not just engineering field. So
Yep.
here we are all from engineering. So as engineering aspirants, third year student, I want to know what skills are employers looking at in the job market right now for computer science engineers. from apart from the development skills, are there also some other skills like public speaking that would help in the long run, according to you?
Correct. So my answer would have been starting from the last line of your question itself, that employers are not just looking for the technical skills, right? Because nowadays the sort of education is pretty much open, right? You can learn a lot of things from YouTube, you can learn a lot of things from here and there, right? But soft skills are something which not a YouTube channel can teach you, no one else can teach you. Like soft skills are something which you need to build on yourself, right? So that is something which employers are looking at. That okay, you can code, you have a really nice lead code profile, you have really nice knowledge on DSA, right? This is something which can be taught. But are you good at sort of managing people? Are you good at sort of managing pressure? Are you good at problem solving? How will you do this? If given certain time period, how will you make sure that okay, you're able to do this or this not? This is not something which your DSA skills will sort of mention. Yeah. If he has a DSA score of let's say 90, 100 or something like that, but how will he manage pressure? How will he or she manage pressure? So that is something which employers look at. And nowadays, startup culture is like really taking boom in India, right? So if you want to sort of work with a or within a startup environment, definitely like things are really changing very fast. One day you might be working on some requirement, second or third day that requirement might completely change, and how you would react to that particular requirement, right? Because usual corporate culture was not such, right? There were projects which were going on for like 10, 15, 20 days, 3 months also, and if you wanted to make a change into it, your developer or your manager would say that okay, we'll do it in next cycle, 3 months ke baad karenge, we'll do it. But nowadays that's not how things work. You need to be really adaptive, that okay, things can change. So all this also employers expect from day, if not from day one, but again it should be the student or the employee should be really adaptive in terms of learning. Also, technology is changing very fast. So there is a possibility that you are hired for one role, but the next month or next week you are working on completely different thing, and you should be completely okay with it. If I take my own example, I was hired as a web developer who started working on mobile apps. It's completely different. And then when I started working on mobile apps, when I was okay completely taking care of it, I thought that okay, now I need to make sure that I am able to manage the team as well, because I had the most context of that particular mobile application. So now I should be able to take care of the team as well. So I started taking care of the team as well. That okay, is the team doing this perfectly fine or not? So all this sort of skills, soft skills, you need to have, and that's what employers also look for. Yeah.
So you were managing engineering teams. There must be some roundabouts or difficulties that you must have faced managing them. What were the core of the problem that you identified and what you learned from it?
So I mean, one of the most sort of frequent sort of problem which I face, I won't call it problem, a challenge which I face is how to make sure that an employee is motivated in himself, right? Because at the end of the day, you are writing sort of few lines of code, and your end user, let's say if we have an OTT app, right? So who is our end user? A person who is sitting in village, sort of he's coming back from work, he's sitting at his home and he's watching some video, right? So that person is the end, that is the person who is the sort of end user. And a developer over here sitting in office is writing code for that particular development. So how can I build synergy in between them? Because if I'm able to do that, that's when I'll keep the person motivated. Otherwise, he'll just feel like, okay, I'm writing this code, this is the task my manager is given, and I have no such sort of customer empathy, what should I do? So that is a major challenge which I face, and I try to make sure that through different activities I am able to sort of keep that synergy alive between the user and the developer, because that's the journey which should be like perfectly streamlined. A user and the developer who's starting the chain and who's the ending the chain. So yeah, I try to do different activities, maybe a user engagement call with a developer and user to directly face off them that this particular feature is not working, and the developer will try to explain that yeah, this is the reason it was not working. so that next time when the developer is coding, it will strike into his mind, yeah, I should be more sort of specific about what I am writing, so that the next time that user should not face that problem. I should be very specific when I'm writing this code. So this is the sort of kind of customer empathy which I try to build, which is missing in a lot of developers, but that is something which I try to build. And yeah,
That's a very impressive thing that you carried out. The activity that was very engaging to get your developer to talk to the end user itself, and to even explain. Being a developer, to explain it to a person sitting in a village, the entirety of it, it's very difficult. Also.
So that both the people can understand, right? So that next time when the user is also complaining about some feature, he should also be empathetic about the developer, so that he or he might also have some work, so that he might have missed it problem. So that I don't directly go on Play Store and write bad review about the developer. I should also think about that. Yeah, this might have been the case, so that this might have been posed wrongly.
A little more about Flutter development and how AI tools were integrated into the software. If you could just tell us about that.
So, I mean, AI tools are very, I would say, amiable or gellable, right? So, they are not sort of highly dependent on any specific technology, right? Because what are AI tools? It's like adding certain extra mind or adding certain extra capability to any specific feature. So, be it Flutter or be it any other technology, it's just that you are adding an extra engine to your particular application. So it's very easy, and I would say not just easy, but it's seamless. I would say the AI capabilities are sort of being used and being implemented very seamlessly in every aspects of. Personally, I have experience with Flutter, so I have used a lot of tools implementing, let's say, a ChatGPT bot inside a Flutter application. It's super easy. There are plugins available. You can directly start doing it. There are APIs available. You can directly start using it. And Flutter in itself is a very sort of a user-friendly, or not just user-friendly, developer-friendly sort of a UI toolkit, that whatever you want to build with the help of Flutter, you'll have a plugin ready, or you'll have a developer documentation ready. You can directly go ahead and start using it.
Just last one of my personal question that I would like to ask you on behalf of all of us, that what beginner level projects should we work on right now to have maximum experience of what's going on in the tech world?
Okay, so a beginner level can be different for different people, right? What's important is you have a project, not just one project, at least 2-3 projects you should have, right? And how to define your beginner level? It depends on, okay, what level of understanding you have with that particular technology which you are building on, right? A project can be as simple as a to-do app. A project can be as complicated as building some sort of a management system for your college, right? But you need to make sure that you start from sort of very basic level and sort of slowly and gradually build upon it, right? If you are into backend, you need to make sure that you are able to think architecture of any particular application. Let's say I'm learning Node.js, right? Now I should be very specific, or I should know that, okay, what all companies, what all startups are using Node.js as their backend. Let's say I come across 2-3 companies that, okay, Zomato is using Node.js, Swiggy is using Node.js. Now, in my mind, I should be able to think through that, okay, this is how their architecture might have got built in Node.js, because I know how Node.js works, so I should be able to think that, okay, this is how it might be working. This is how the API call might be working when I'm ordering the food. This is how they are easily able to let me know that your order is coming in 10-15 minutes. This specific feature of Node.js they might have used. So I should be able to think recursively in that particular direction, that this is how they might have used it. Similarly, if we can take a very simple example, you started learning HTML, CSS, right? So now, whichever website you are visiting, any A to Z website, ABC, whichever website you are visiting, by seeing any widget, you should be able to think through in your mind that, okay, ये ऐसे बना होगा. I'll just tell you an example of I was watching Jio Cinema's iOS app the other day. It was like 1 month back, and they changed the UI of their topmost carousel. It was looking really, really nice, but it was very sort of intimidating to me that I was not able to think through कि यार ये बनाया कैसे होगा इसने. It was very like for 2 days for one day I just forgot it कि यार हाँ कुछ तो कैसे बनाया होगा. But the other day when I again started streaming a match, again I saw that this is the UI, I am really loving it. How they might have built it, what functionality, what animation they might have used it. Again, I went to ChatGPT. ChatGPT was also like not that up to date so that it can answer me. So then I had a luckily few connects in the Geo developer team. I asked them that okay, how you have used it. That guy particularly answered on a higher level that okay, we use this kind of animations, this kind of mirror reflections to build this, and that's how we built it. So that's when sort of my sort of questionnaire came to an sort of a silence that okay, हाँ ये ऐसे बना होगा. So that's the kind of attitude as a developer you should have.
As a computer science student, that has already started happening in the sense that we've taught the architecture of the computer itself,
Yes.
plus the storage systems, RAM, how cache works.
Yeah.
So when we were looking at specs, they were specs, and okay, the numbers were talking. Now we can actually visualize that which part is making it happen, which
Yes.
step. This is a really
Yes.
good thing about the courses. Absolute last question. You were an attendee at Shark Tank, and you presented your idea. A little about your experience there. And I apologize if I'm getting it a little wrong.
Yep. So in my answer I'll correct this. So my company was sort of invited in Shark. We got selected basically after certain rounds we were selected to sort of pitch over there. But yeah, I can proudly say if I was not there on the stage, but the product which I built was there on the stage, and that was the showstopper, right? So I can be proud about that. So yes, we were there, and I really sort of those 3-4 days I can still sort of relive those moments. It was a really sort of a great feeling for us that okay, whatever we have done in last 10-12 months, whatever efforts we have put in last 10-12 months, the whole world is gonna see that. So that was the motivation level for us whenever our founders were going on the stage to sort of pitch the product. We were really motivated about it. Experience about the Shark Tank journey. So whatever I have sort of heard from my founders, it's a very sort of, I would say, when you say that all these shows are like how do I put it, like whenever a show comes live on a TV channel, right? For example, there's an Indian Idol, there is KBC, and sort of there is Shark Tank, right? You tend to sort of think about it. Most of things are like scripted, right? That's the general user notion that these things are scripted. But when we actually saw it happening live, nothing is scripted, right? Nothing is scripted. You are given your sort of time to, even if you get emotional sometimes, in our pitch we really got emotional. So they'll allow you to sort of take your moment and sort of feel about it, and then whenever you are ready about it, you can start speaking about it. They'll make you feel comfortable. So yeah, that's how it happened. Our pitch went on for like 1.5 hours. They gave us each and every sort of answer which we were giving. They were properly listening to it, and yeah, the gist of it you guys saw obviously on air, which got aired for 10-15 minutes. So yeah, it was a really sort of a experience of a lifetime for me, because as a normal developer, like what do you dream of? That whatever you're working on, people should sort of praise it, right? That's the instinct which you have, that whatever I'm working on, people should talk about it. People should ask me that okay, hey, you built it, and I'll be like, yeah, I've done it. So that is something which was really happening at that moment, and yeah, I'm still grateful that I was able to live that moment with my team.
So that is the end of our podcast. What I would take away are two things.
Yeah.
first put in emotions in the work that you do, that I could see on your face clearly, that how you connected to your own work, and secondly how important it is to be motivated towards your work and different ways that we can achieve that. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure having you, and it was a very, very, very fun conversation that I would love to continue after this. So, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.